guys, welcome back to Clockwork down to Noodles so soon. I haven't seen you guys for 2 days? Did you miss me? We're back for episode 2 of Golden Kamui season 4. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We are aiming to hit 610 by Halloween, which would be quite good. I think we're about 6 away now. So we're getting there. I mean, I would like to hit 666 for Halloween, but I don't think that's going to happen. But that would be fun. Not going to happen. Make sure you guys are subscribed because I am going to be eventually revealing my top 3 for the midway review. Also going to bring you my top 3 OPs EDs. That's always fun, but I think this season's going to be very difficult because shows like Chainsaw Man have one new ED every single episode, so I'm gonna have to be fair and pick the best and put that in my list. Make sure you guys stay tuned to see how my decision making goes on that one. Let's get straight to it because this episode mainly contained to the one storyline, which is unusual for Golden Kamui. They usually split the episode in half, deal with 2 groups of people, but I am thankful for us focusing on this because we can get at least the Hijikata storyline moving, because with him being in a coffin underground, we're not really furthering the plot, so it's good to see he doesn't die and he's out and about. I didn't think he was going to die because I know he's very integral for this season. It's nice to see him back, but we're going to see the return of the most beautiful man on the planet, Dick Sensei. And Dick Sensei has got a new YouTube unfriendly nickname, which is expected from this show. As I said last episode, if I ever gain monetization, I'm making nothing from Golden Kamui because they hate me. This show is just not YouTube friendly. I'm gonna keep him as Dick Sensei, even though I don't know, one word seems a bit more unfriendly to YouTube than the other. I'm just gonna keep him Dick Sensei. But of course, this man gets that name in particular. It's great. We haven't seen this guy for a little while. It's just beautiful, especially at the end, rising up out of the ice. It's just him emerging. He's like a zombie, but he's calling out that word, and it's like, oh no, he's back. Most of the scene I can't really talk about because it's not YouTube friendly, and they already shadow banned me. I already know that I'm shadow banned because the channel doesn't get half the amount of views it used to. So I'm not going to anger them even further because I don't think I can keep the channel going if we get another ban on top of my ban. That would just be awful. YouTube, please don't shadow ban me. I didn't do anything in the first place. Dick Sensei comes a new monster. He has a funny nickname and he eats a lot of peach, so he ends up going moo a lot. Of course, Momo is Peach, and he's just saying moo. So it reminded me of a cow. I didn't know if he was trying to be a cow. Hijikata is currently underground, and we've got this Two-Face type character. I know he's got a name. I'm just going to call him the Doctor of Poison because I hate offending people and I'm going to get the name wrong. He is our doctor who is playing with fate, and I think it's very interesting because he ends up being quite the polar opposite of Hijikata and his beliefs, which we can talk about later. The Doctor of Poison is playing with fate, and he's letting fate decide. I felt bad because Hijikata's already old. He's a very old man, and now you're forcing this man into a state very similar to a coma. Obviously, Hijikata does reveal that he's had time as a medicine peddler, so that does help him. It could have been a very bad outcome if he hadn't had that knowledge. Dick Sensei nearly kills a kid this week. I am still shocked that his neck didn't snap or his face just didn't melt off. When it comes to ice, there's just something about it that makes me cringe so much. I don't know. When we went ice skating as a kid and everyone started freaking out because you're on skates and you don't want people to slice your foot open or something. And I'm pretty sure it probably doesn't happen as much as it is alluded to, but ice skating does give me nightmares. At one point, I wanted to be a figure skater so badly, but I never fulfilled that because just this knowledge of the fact that I could die on ice, terrifying to me. So this episode was a little cringy. It was making me nervous for all of our characters, especially when the detective is stood there naked on the ice. It's a battle of wits because he's trying to trick the guy into taking his bait and lure him away, which does work. It does initially work until Dick Sensei ruins the plan. It makes me so nervous, and he's holding a blade in his butt cheeks, and I'm like, okay, that could have gone horrifically wrong as well, and you could slice off your butt cheeks. It's a battle of wits where neither side is really willing to lose because we've got the doctor trying to tempt fate, so he's trying to keep fate going, and the detective in the buff right now is obviously trying to save Hijikata's life. Dick Sensei just there. Dick Sensei's jump this week is beautiful. I'm pretty sure it's got a name, and I think he might be doing a triple Lutz I'm pretty sure it's a triple lutz when he does the spin in the air and then he lands the jump. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I actually think Dick Sensei should be Japan's secret talent. He should join the Olympics and he would be fantastic on the ice. Fantastic to watch. I would happily watch just an OVA of Dick Sensei on ice. That would be my thing. I would totally watch that. We're not getting it this week. The monster has to be put to rest and he's lured into the ice pool and then knocks himself out. But he does then appear a bit later on. Perfect timing, but also bad timing because he does get in the way of the detective running into that direction, but that probably wouldn't have gone very well. The bit that really made me just stop for a moment is the naked skidding frontal on ice. And he just sits up and starts chatting. How are you still able to talk after your junk just skidded over the ice and there's ice burn? I don't want to think about it. I want to think about it. There's something about ice, guys. I don't like it. And this is one of those episodes that just, I don't know, it's like nails on chalkboard, kind of that sensation. Me seeing it, even though it's an anime, my brain just imagines the real thing. We have another trial this week, another two-phase trial where it's 50-50. We're going to spin this. It's a bit like a Russian roulette, I guess. If you get the poison, I'll dig him up. If I get the poison, I'll tell you where he is. Playing with a guy who is chaos. So our villain is essentially chaos, and he does remind me of Kefka from Final Fantasy series. It's all down to fate. I'm going to set this up, and fate will decide if you live or die. But my rebuttal to this idea that you're letting fate decide is, if there's no poison in the room, nobody's going to get poisoned. So you putting poison in a room means someone's going to get poisoned. So it's not exactly fate. You're setting up a chance for somebody to get poisoned. For me, it feels like the test itself actually debunks his beliefs that fate is going to intervene. But I'm pretty sure this is going down a very big philosophical path that we could debate all day and we're not going to get anywhere. But the outcome is essentially the same because the detective does end up with his really rotten luck getting the poison. I was really sad because I did like him and I was like, oh, he's gonna die. Thankfully he doesn't, but it's still the fact that if he hadn't eaten another one and if he hadn't again picked that one in particular, he would have died. I think that this next explanation to how he survives may be a little bit fictional, but I guess if somebody is up to speed on poisons out there, you can enlighten us in the comments. It's weird because even Hijikata alludes to this as too, and he says he has medical trainings. Seeing Hijikata being the opposite of the doctor is something I really like, and I think I'm more on Hijikata's side. Luck isn't everything. You have to make your own luck. So luck doesn't determine everything. I've got to take things into my own hands. It's not enough just to be lucky nowadays. You've got to make a move on yourself. And I think I'm more on his side. I like the idea of sometimes fate deciding things, but if I can have a hand in shaping my fate, I would rather have a hand on it. We do get a interesting look into how both of them think. It's very different from one another, which I think is fascinating. We do get to learn about these two poisons in particular cancel one another out. He had the worst luck, but then he also got the very best luck. If he hadn't actually grabbed the right one, he could have hastened his death even further. And I think the point was he was trying to speed up his death because he didn't want to suffer for 2 hours. He ends up saving his own life, which is amazing. I don't know if this is just fiction for the anime or there's a hint of truth. So if you do know, let me know. I'm very curious if this is actually real. Hijikata is aware of this process, so the detective simply just lucks out. Hijikata actually ingests something on purpose. He's actually aware of what he'd taken or something. It's a very interesting episode to look into the way Hijikata actually thinks. He's very progressive as well. I think it's fascinating. Hijikata's viewpoint is very interesting, so it's nice to see how he thinks, and obviously it results in our Two-Face finally meeting his maker, so he ends up meeting God anyway in his eyes. I thought it was a very interesting episode. I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see where we go. Hijikata is now out of the ground, so he can now take his place as a rival to Leaky Brain in the arms race, or the race to find the gold. Very exciting to see where we go next episode. Had a great one, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in again, but now you do have to wait a week for your next episode because I am back on schedule. Clap, clap, clap. Finally did it. And this week you're going to have the first short episode coming up. I said in my overall review, I'm going to bring out a new format. The first short episode is going to look at episode 1 and 2 of The Raven of the Inner Palace. Even if you're not interested, come along, check it out, because I'm just going to overview it and say what I like and what is interesting. You may have fun just listening to me blab around about it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you next week. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.